This video is going to demonstrate how to use classes in CSS. Once you're logged into Blackboard, into your Web Design 1 course, go to Demos, scroll to where it says Classes, and you're going to want to right-click the class demo zip, save link as, and you want to put it inside of your Web 1 Demos folder, and then we can go ahead and get rid of the one that's there and hit save. So if you go inside of your Web 1 folder in demos, you can actually just double click the class demo.zip and then you can get rid of the zip file. So what you're going to see here is I have actually provided the file structure for you and folder structure for you. What I'm hoping is at this point you already have a pretty good understanding of what files and folders it is you need to have. Okay, the CSS is also in there for you. We've got an images folder, our index file, and the working. So the next step that we're going to do is go ahead and open up this index page in a browser window. And it already has some content on it for us. So let's go ahead and jump to Dreamweaver. And let's navigate to where the demos are. Okay, so I'm going to close my assignments folder and open up demos. You can see the class demo folder there, and then just double click on index. And I'm just trying to make a little bit more room so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see my code. Okay, so we have a title, and this title actually would be more appropriate being tennis trivia or a little bit of tennis knowledge or something like that. So that would be a more appropriate title. We already have the CSS linked for us, so that's great. You can see there's some basic styles there. The H1 has a font, family, size, and a border on the bottom. The H2 has some styles, and the paragraphs have some styles. Okay, so what we are going to start with is looking at how we can use classes to just style one specific item in your page. So right now we know that the paragraph tag is being styled and it has Georgia 1M for the font size and line height of 1.8 M. But that's going to style all of the paragraphs. What if we wanted to style maybe just this second paragraph and make it look different? Like maybe it's a call out box, or maybe it's a pull quote or something like that. So if we wanted to make this entire paragraph, meaning we want to affect the entire thing, if we want to change this entire thing, then we're going to put the class right on the element. So you're going to do p space class, and then you're going to give it a name. Don't give it a name that is based on the way that it looks. Give it a name based on the content, all right, or what it's trying to do. So we'll just say that this is our special paragraph. Now you only have to put the class on the opening tag. You do not put it on the closing tag. All right, it just knows automatically that the class should end here because the class is an attribute of the paragraph or element. So you do not have to close the class down here. Okay, so we have class special, but nothing is going to change in our browser window because we didn't style it to do anything different. So I'm going to jump over to the CSS and I am going to style dot. Make sure you have the dot in there, and then special. Do your opening and closing curly braces. And for right now, let's just give it a background color. And see if that one shows up for us. You can choose whatever color you want. I just chose like a yellow one. Oops, let's do file, save all. And then come in and refresh. And now we have a background color on that paragraph. Now you can use that, you can use this class name over and over again. So let's say you had 83 paragraphs and there were 4 others that you wanted to have this background color on. You could do p space class equals quote special quote on those other 4 paragraphs and have them look the same way. Now, if you wanted one of them to be orange instead of yellow, then you would have to give it a different class name. Okay, so you're allowed to use these over and over again as much as you want. So just to show you, let's say maybe I'm going to have another H2 and I'm going to put a class on it. If I call it special, it's going to look exactly the same, right? So we'll say call now for more info. Okay, so it's taking the styling of the H2, but it also has that background color on it because it has the class special. But what if I wanted to have a different color, or maybe I just wanted to look different completely? Well, then don't use the same class name. Give it a different class name. So maybe I'll do call to action. Now, whenever you do this, you're allowed to use hyphens or underscores. Hyphens are probably more commonly used. Do not put spaces in here. If you put spaces in here, that would mean that you had 3 different classes on it. So do not use spaces. Okay, so I'm going to hit Command or Control S to save that, jump to my CSS, and now I'm going to style dot call to action. And here's the thing, however you spell it in HTML, you have to spell it the same way here. So if you misspelled it in your HTML and it was call to action, then you would have to do the same thing in your CSS. Hopefully it's not misspelled, but it needs to be spelled the same way in both places. Okay, so maybe I'll do font style italic. Well, no, wait, it's already italic. Let's not do that. Let's do, let's go to a different color. Maybe it's just like this bright green, bringing in some Tennessee type colors. That sounded like I said Tennessee. I meant Tennessee. Never mind. Okay, so here's where it is styling this to look different. So you can use as many classes as you want. If I had other headings or paragraphs or block quotes or anything that I wanted to look the same as this in terms of the color, then I could put that call to action class on it. If I wanted to look similar to this one, then I could put the special class on it. If I wanted to look completely different, then I would just make a new class. No big deal. Okay, so basically, whenever you are getting ready to put in a class, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, do you want to change the entire element? We wanted to change the entire H2, so we put the class right on the H2. We wanted to style the entire paragraph tag, so we put the class on the P tag. But what if you only wanted to style one small part of an element and not the entire thing? For example, let's say that we wanted to style just the word love. Well, if I put a class on the H1, that's going to style I love tennis. But that's not what I want. I just want to style the word love. So if you want to do that, then you need to use a span tag. Okay, think of span as kind of like your last resort. You don't want to just be throwing this around everywhere. All right, so span, class, and we'll just say love. And then you close the span. Right? And then you're going to go to your CSS and style .love. It still gets a period in front of it. This color we're going to make red. Okay, so let's just do file save all and refresh. Okay, so now just that one word is styled. Just to show you, don't do this part, but if I were to put the class on the H1, everything would turn red. And that's not what we want, so don't do that. Another example, if you read through these paragraphs, years come up a lot. So what if every time there was a year mentioned, I wanted to be styled a certain way? So what I could do is I could make a class called year and style it so that way it was emphasized throughout my document. So let's just do right here, span, class, and I'll call it year. That's what it is. And to make it easier, you can just highlight and copy that. Boom. And then close the span. Boom. Another one. Got a few more. Just go ahead and open and close those. Okay, so there might be more, but I think you get the point. Okay, so I am going to jump to my CSS, and I'm going to style dot year. Now, I've just been doing one declaration. You could do multiple declarations. So maybe you wanted to have a background color. Okay, so maybe we'll do this pale green, and maybe you want to have a border. So we'll do 1 pixel. 1 pixel is a really thin border. And we'll do dotted. Whoa, that's dotted. Dotted. There we go. And we can also, we'll change the color. I think you guys probably get the idea by now anyway. Nice dark green too. Okay, so let's do file save all. Come in here and refresh. And then all the years are styled to look the same. Okay, so if you wanted, if you wanted like this part right here, there we go, like this part in parentheses, like if you wanted that to maybe be a different size or a different font family or anything to make it different than the entire paragraph, that's when you would use a span. You are styling one small part and not the entire element. That's when you use a span. So if you want to change the entire thing, put the class on the element. If you just want to style one small part, that is when you do a span. And that is pretty much it for classes. Not too much to go over. It's the hardest part is just kind of trying to decide and remember when you would use a span and when you would use a class on the element. Also remember that a class is an attribute, so it is not an element. It is not its own tag. Okay, so you cannot come in and just do left caret class. That's not a thing. A class has to be put on some element. Okay, so this is element, attribute, value. Okay, this is not an element. You have to put it on an element. All right, that is one thing that I've sometimes seen students do, is try to make it its own thing. It's not. Okay, so that is pretty much it for the class demo. As always, if you guys have any questions, make sure you ask and we can help to clear anything up. Thanks.